It's time to rank the last 10 cameras that I've reviewed in the Tiny Camera series, the season 2 finale, if you will. So let's go through the best everyday carry cameras that I've tried recently that might be ideal for your photography journey in 2025. And there's something for all budgets in this as well. This video is sponsored by MPB. In at number 11. I know I said 10, but it turned out it was 11. 10 just sounded cleaner. Sorry, not sorry. In at number 11, the Lumix GH1, by far the oldest camera in this lineup, and it is dirt cheap, one of the cheapest as well. You can usually find it, depending on the colour variation, for under £100. You don't have to buy the hideous gold one. Other colours are available. It is in at number 11 because it is older now, but I had a whale of a time with this camera in Greece and I was very impressed with the data in the raw files and also the image quality that I managed to get from it. I think Lumix really hit the ground running with the GH series. Even though it's slightly older now, it's still laid out in a very nice and intuitive way, and the menus are nice and easy as well. My criteria: price, dirt cheap; size, mid-sized but decent; style, either hideous or magnificent depending on your tolerance for blingy gold; build quality, it's lasted like over 15 years so far, so it can't be that bad; features, pretty basic as you would expect for the era; usability, really damn good considering she's an old gal; and sparks joy, the intangible criteria. Does it spark joy with me? It absolutely does, but that's because I'm a camera nerd. Your mileage may vary, which is why this is kicking it off at number 11. Let's move on to number 10. The Sigma FPL. This is a full frame tiny camera. Yes, they do exist, even though they are few and far between. And it really does tickle my nerd buttons. I thoroughly enjoyed testing this. It's not the most user-friendly. It is a big old box of a thing, and you do need to buy some accessories in order to make it a little bit more functional, like the EVF is a separate accessory, for example, and there's no tilty screen. It is very video-centric. However, it does have a 61 megapixel sensor, so you can have tons of fun punching in with prime lenses and get effectively different focal lengths and not lose very many megapixels. The quality of this sensor is ridiculous, and it's why it has a cult following for sure. It is part of the L-mount alliance, along with Lumix cameras and Leica cameras as well. There's another one or two in this list in the L-mount alliance, and there's plenty of lenses available for all budgets and all sizes as well. However, it's not something I would recommend an absolute beginner. It is quite techie and quite video-centric, but a very interesting smaller camera for sure. Price: around £900 currently used, which I don't actually know if that's good or bad for what you get. I mean, it does have a lot of fancy video features. Size: it is very tiny depending on your lenses and the accessories that you use with it. Style: it's a sad little brick of a thing. Build quality: excellent. It's a brick. Features: average for photo, above average for video. Usability: the menus are very well designed, but there's not very many custom buttons and it's a little bit finicky in terms of the hardware. The software's very nice though. And does it spark joy? Honestly, I enjoyed using it, but it didn't spark joy for me personally, but I can see why it would if you are a Sigma FPL enthusiast. Number 9, the OM System TG7, the waterproof tough camera of joy. I thoroughly enjoyed taking this out for a spin, and I enjoy having a photocentric waterproof camera in my lineup. I have GoPros and things, but sometimes taking photographs in those sorts of conditions is quite fun. It also came in very handy when I was in the Faroe Islands, like I was on a speedboat and the weather was very rainy at all times in the Faroe Islands, so it's a really good everyday carry camera if you are going into unpredictable environments. It is a smaller censored camera. It's smaller than Micro Four Thirds, for example, and you don't get the option for interchangeable lenses, but it is a variable zoom lens built in, and it's very fast and very versatile, and it doesn't protrude any more than that. So very, very pocketable indeed. The price is around £400 used. I got a bargain in Japan. If you are budget conscious, definitely check out the TG6, which is a very similar spec camera, and you can find that one a little bit cheaper. Top tip. Size: properly pocketable. Style: I really like the red. It is available in black if you want something a little bit more subtle. I am not one for subtleties. Build quality: well, this and the cockroaches will survive the apocalypse. It's about as wonderfully built as you could get. Features. The TG7 does have time-lapse and burst modes, and even has a pre-burst mode that you would find in other more advanced OM system cameras. So yeah, feature-rich and super fun to play with. Does it spark joy? Yes, it does. I'm glad that I own it. In at number 8, the Fujifilm X-F10. This is an APS-C sized pocketable camera. Well, I got it in gold. Not saying I'm obsessed with gold coloured cameras, but there are a few on this list. It has a 28mm equivalent fixed lens. A little bit wider for my personal preference, but it is a good street photography and everyday carry sort of focal length for sure. The RAW files in this camera, and also basically every Fujifilm camera that I've used, has so much dynamic range. You can pull things back so cleanly. So if that's important to you and you do like to shoot in lower light conditions regularly, this is a very nice option. It is contrast-based autofocus, which I'm more than used to with a lot of Micro Four Thirds cameras, but the added depth of field with the APS-C sensor really highlights the drawbacks of contrast-based. I would say the autofocus on this camera is probably the worst on every camera in this list. However, there are many intuitive like zone pre-focusing settings with Fujifilm, so you can work around it quite easily. And in terms of recipes and JPEGs, you can get some lovely results straight out of camera, but it doesn't have all of the Fujifilm recipe features, but it does have quite a few of the usual suspects built in, like Velvia and things like that. Price. Very bloomin' spenny at around £700 used at the moment. Size. Absolutely no compromises here. It's perfectly pocketable. Style. I like it. I like the gold. Other colours are available. Build quality. Now, is it the most robust camera I've ever used? Probably not. Features. I like it. The JPEGs that you can get out of it are pretty nice. Usability. I am personally not the biggest fan of the Fujifilm menus, and the friction that I have with them is exacerbated on this model because there's fewer function buttons, so you are in the menus a bit more. And does it spark joy? If this was like 400 quid used, I would say grab your hands. Absolutely. But for 700 quid, it does not spark joy for me personally. In at number 7, Old Faithful, my Lumix S9. If you want a portable full frame camera that is user friendly, has IBIS, has a flippy screen, has excellent JPEG customization, has excellent video features, this is the best you can get. It's the best you can get. All of my presets on my website are real-time LUT compatible, so I love just being able to like click a button and that is the preset that I use. You know, it's so cool. And also, while we're keeping score, this is by far the best hybrid camera on this list. If you want something that does photo and video excellently, this is stunning. Most of the other picks are very photo-centric. And my thoughts and feelings. I got very giddy when I saw the price of this now. I think this is about the price it should have been all along, to be honest. Currently around 1,200 quid. Size is very lens dependent. You can make it very small. You can make it very big and silly. Style. I like it. I like that you can customize the colors quite easily. Build quality. A little bit plasticky, but it is more of a entry to mid-range camera in the Lumix lineup, so it's exactly what you would expect. Usability, exceptionally easy to use in my opinion. Sparks joy. Full frame everyday carry is not really my sort of cup of tea sometimes, as you can probably guess. However, if full frame everyday carry is your cup of tea, the S9 is an amazing contender. Do I wish it was Micro Four Thirds? Yes I do. In at number 6, and we have shifted from gold cameras to yellow cameras apparently, the Leica T-Type 701. Beautiful camera, weird name, but we'll deal with it. This is an APS-C camera that is part of the L-mount Alliance. It's made of solid aluminium. It has a huge touchscreen on the back. There is Leica monochrome built in. It is a beautiful camera. Full video on this, and of course everything that I've mentioned, I'll link everything in the description if you'd like to hear more about any of these. Price, around £600 used at the moment, and I even found one in Japan. Damn, I got a bargain. Yes, I did. Size, I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but again, lens dependent. Style, I think it's one of the nicest cameras that I've ever seen. Even the battery door, right? Aside from it being the most satisfying thing in the world, the back of the camera is on the battery, so it looks like one cohesive thing underneath. Just the attention to detail is insane. Does it spark joy? Clearly for me it does. However, objectively, for the money, you can find much more camera elsewhere, which we will see in the remainder of this list. In at number 5, OM System OM5. Now this is just almost the perfect everyday carry for me. It's a micro four thirds camera, interchangeable lenses, it's weather sealed, it has IBIS, it has decent phase detect autofocus. There's a lot of stuff to love. There's an EVF, there's a mechanical shutter, there's a mic input. It ticks a lot of my boxes. So why is this not higher in the list? Well, I think it came out very spenny, very expensive, but that has nicely dropped now. So if this has been on your radar, it's a good time to buy. And 2, there were a couple of oversights which just made me a little bit angry. For example, this came out after the OM System OM1, but it has the older style, horrible Olympus menus. Like, you know, if we want new cameras to be fresh and feel new and part of the new OM System lineup, the newer menu system was a no-brainer, and I'm so mad that it's still the older clunky one. Now that the price has come down, I can recommend this a heck of a lot more than I have been doing. It really is a beautiful camera that will tick a lot of boxes for a lot of people. Price-wise, where are we at? Currently, just over £700 used, and still around £1,300 new. It's not a discontinued camera, so you can go into a camera shop and buy this as new. So if you're looking to have a bargain, that's basically half price used, which is why I love MPB. I think for the price at the moment, this is a very, very good buy indeed. Size, gorgeous, especially when you consider it has an EVF. Style, timeless and lovely. Build quality, genuinely a step back from some of the older models in this lineup. The original EM5, this is the continuation of that line of cameras, was magnesium alloy proper. It was proper. Usability, menus. I'm fuming that this is the older style menu. Honestly, it might be a hill that I die on, but I would own an OM5 and would have owned an OM5 from day one had they updated the menus. Does it spark joy? It sparks a heck of a lot more joy at the used price that it is now. That is genuinely a bargain. Pitchforks at the ready, because objectively there's not really any reason that this should be higher than the OM5, because it's less good of a camera. But hey, it's my list. The GM5. You knew it was coming at some point on this list. It's my favourite tiny camera, possibly of all time. I shall not spend too much time talking about this because I've done a lot of videos on this, but basically it's the smallest micro four thirds camera that has an EVF, and it's beautiful. They are quite expensive because they are quite rare, so much so that I've panic bought 2 in case one breaks because I love it that much. It's not going to be great if you have larger hands, and objectively it is less camera and slightly older compared to the OM5 and a couple of others on this list. But in terms of like my enjoyment of the cameras and what I'm looking for in a camera, something that's stupidly small and something I can take out every day without even thinking about it, something that has a selection of lenses, something that's very, very, very robust. I love it. Price. It really fluctuates. I got both of mine for under 400 quid, but I am a self-confessed camera nerd, and this is, you know, I spend a stupid amount of time looking for bargains. So yeah, you could probably expect to spend a little bit more than that. Size, in my opinion, it is perfect. It's perfectly formed. Features, great for the size, great in general. Build quality, superb. The most premium tiny camera ever made in my, don't quote me on that, but I believe I'm right sort of thing. Does it spark joy? I feel that answer is apparent. Now, if any of these cameras have caught your eye, definitely go to MPB. It's where I buy the vast majority of my used cameras, and I love, 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 love them. You get a 6-month warranty with anything that you buy, and you can check out each purchase because everything is individually photographed. One thing I would recommend if anything has caught your eye specifically is utilize their email alerts function. The minute they stick a new GM5 on, for example, you'll get an email and you'll be one of the first to know, alongside me, and I'll try and snipe it from you. Sometimes buying in private auctions is fun, but there's always that element of risk. People can let you down, it might not be as advertised, and there's certainly no warranty. With MPB you get a 6-month warranty, it's been checked by an expert. With the OM5, for example, it's literally like half price used, so it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. So I have UK, EU and US links in the description. Please use the links if you are interested in buying from MPB because it shows them that I'm doing a good job, and that's always nice. Yeah, let's get back to the nerdiness. In at number 3, I'm going to bunch these two together, the Fujifilm X100 5 and 6. I've had a good old play with these cameras over the last year. I took the Fujifilm 5 to Japan and got some really cool street photography and got some of my favourite photos of 2024 with that camera. The 6, I had a great old time doing some street photography around the UK. It's a stunning lineup of cameras and I don't think any everyday carry list would be complete without mentioning them. However, the price of both of these is stupidly eye-watering. The 5, the older one, is still around £1,200 used, and we don't have IBIS. You need a separate kit in order to make it properly weather sealed. Think of what you could buy for 1,200 quid of all the things I've listed on this list. You could probably buy 2 things on the list that I've listed for that price. The 6 is a much better camera, and that is the one that I would always buy because you do have IBIS. You have a 40 megapixel sensor, so that means your fixed lens can now sort of crop in, punch in, change focal length in theory. I know it's not quite the same, but you have enough megapixels to make that a functional thing, whereas you don't really on the 4. Video features, yes, though bewilderingly all the wires and the mic inputs is like inside the handle, which drove me mad. Price, eye-watering. Size, a little bit larger for an everyday carry, but they don't protrude out. Style, obviously, beautiful, beautiful. Build quality. Now, people say that the Fujifilm lineup is getting progressively a little bit worse compared to how they used to be. In my experience, they were still very nice indeed. Features, both very good if you like customizable JPEGs. Usability, I've said in this sort of lineup, I don't like the Fujifilm menus too much, but because you have so many tactile dials and buttons on this series of cameras, it's not the end of the world. It's quite nice. And does it spark joy? Yes. The 6 in particular, I had to have a really big talk to myself because I got it on loan for review and I was like, I need to buy this camera. You know, I'm usually quite detached and I can give things back quite easily, and usually trying something for a month sort of gets it out of my system. The Fujifilm X106 is the first camera that I've honestly considered like buying and keeping when I've been reviewing it for a long time. But yeah, I came to my senses because I am not paying that. I'm not. On to number 2. Now, again, pitchforks at the ready. This is nonsensical in terms of like, if this was a list of spec, obviously this would not be number 2. But in terms of everyday carry and it being quite interesting and something that I enjoy, I think it's just a curveball and it's great. And I'm talking about the Lumix LX15/LX10, depending on where you are. Now, yes, this is a premium compact, and I firmly believe, I may be delusional, but I firmly believe that premium compacts are going to make a comeback. I just think people are shouting out for something one and done. We don't need to buy extra lenses. We don't need to do anything more than stick this in our pocket and go and have fun. I took this to Costa Rica and had a great old time, and I was absolutely blown away. The lens itself is Leica branded and very fast. It has some macro-ish capabilities. We have the flippy screen, has decent 4K video, has an onboard flash. If a premium compact is what you're looking for, that one is my favourite. I had several and I've trimmed my collection down a little bit, and this is the last one standing. I think this camera should be between £300 and £400, but the scarcity of it has driven that up annoyingly. Price, around £500 depending on the condition. My advice to you is don't go spending stupid money on this. It is still a compact camera at the end of the day, but if it does tick your boxes, go wild. Size, perfect. It's the same size as the GM5, and of course we don't need to put an additional lens on that, so yeah, super duper small, the smallest camera on this list. Style, I think it's gorgeous. I think it's very modern. Features, super feature rich. You've got the Leica lens, as I say, you've got time-lapse, touchscreen, Wi-Fi, flippy screen, 4K video. It's awesome. Usability, super duper easy. On, shoot, back in your pocket, go get a pint. Done. Sparks joy, 100%. It's my favourite premium compact ever. On to number 1, and you may as well keep those pitchforks out. But hey, the Lumix GX8/Lumix GX9. Probably more the GX9. This is a photocentric micro four thirds camera with all the bells and whistles. We have a beautiful weird EVF, we have an articulating screen, it has 4K video, it has IBIS, it's just beautiful. The GX8 is weather sealed and has a mic input for some video. The GX9 is not weather sealed, but is like more photocentric, and it is still lovely. You may notice also that the Olympus Pen F is not in this list. I think the GX9 is basically identical to the Pen F in all respects, 99% of features, but super duper cheap and much more readily available. I've got a comparison video on the two. Yes, the Pen F is delightful. iconic. But if you want something similar on a budget, the GX9 is where I would look. I think the GX9 and the GX8, if you are more concerned about video, is wonderful for the price. Pair it with a small enough lens and you've got a really feature-rich, very, very fun camera to use. And that's why it's the top of my list of season 2 of the Tiny Camera series. Around 600 to 650 pounds used. Size, it is on the larger side for an everyday carry, but it's still small. Style, I really like it. Build quality, excellent. Features, excellent. Time-lapse, touchscreen, Wi-Fi. Usability, modern, clean, Lumix menus. Not going to say anymore. Does it spark joy? So much joy. I love it. I own the GX8. I loaned the GX9. In retrospect, I think I probably would have got the GX9. If I owned neither, I would get the GX9 because it is very delightful. So those are my recommendations for 2025. There's dedicated reviews for every single camera mentioned, and it's by no means a comprehensive list, so there's plenty more on my channel if you would like some more inspiration.